Okay, so we have to decide what size brush is appropriate. So this is my medium. That should have a pretty nice flow for these big areas. But probably want a smaller brush for some of these little spots. So I'm going to keep 2 brushes out. And when I was looking to figure out what color we should paint these, we do have an ink called Poppyfield. So I guess that's pretty obvious that that's the ink we're going to use. So I'll put some Poppyfield into my palette. Get some ink on there. Start in the inside. And we're pushing and gliding that ink around in this area. The sunflowers had very straight edges to their petals, but the poppies have kind of a ripple in them. There's a petal. Come in, do another petal, come into the middle, and if you want to put some ink down there, let it start flowing, then you just kind of push on the edges and it'll make it look like a solid poppy. And that Poppyfield is evaporating pretty quickly in my palette. Now you can switch to a littler brush for this one if you want. I use brushes all the time, so I'm just going to go ahead and continue with the big brush, the medium brush. For this little unopened poppy, don't really need it to glide so much. And there's the petals. Copic black marker, but you can use a fine tip Sharpie as well. And come in here. And it's better to wait until the ink dries. So I can put in these seed heads. The black is pretty, oh yeah. That's a Copic 100. Copic pens are wonderful, but they're very expensive. So I wouldn't really recommend them for beginners. Okay, now this is dried enough that we can get that seed head in there. So since what I'm doing is really small, I want this to evaporate out of here. There's a lot of motion. So let's wait until it starts beading up on the sides. So the Botanical is starting to bead up on the edges so we can get some dark color. I have switched to a little brush. And I'm putting in some leaves. See how the stem spreads out? That's fine. You come down here straight. If you get too close to the poppy field, you're going to get red. So now we've got our Botanical really dried out. So we can darken up these stems. Little dots on the side are because the poppy stems have little hairs on their stems. Let's put some green in here because this guy hasn't opened up yet. And at this point, my Botanical is almost completely dry in the palette. So we're almost painting with a dry brush. Okay, I think that works. And there's your poppy project.